So in terms of moving ahead, any thoughts on how we might start doing things differently, besides just putting the checkbook out? So, it seems that we need a lot more than checkbooks to get things done. Heidi?
Is it working? Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Very good question. So I was reflecting on what the role of the international community, and particularly development partners, is in supporting infrastructure in places like Nepal and other developing countries. And I think I would essentially divide it into three areas. So the first, and this sort of goes to your specific question, is it more about sort of the making business in the country? I think the first role is actually to address market failures that exist in a country when attracting private sector investment into what we would classify as bankable projects. And the international community has worked for a long time doing this. The UK government, along with other development partners, set up the Private Infrastructure Development Group in 2002. And the aim of that initiative was to illustrate commercially viable projects and then also work with private sector companies that weren't prepared to take the risk and offer some sort of concessional finance in some sort of instrument to actually attract them. And over the course of the last 20 years, that particular initiative, PIDGE and Ganfo Infra for Asia, that many of you have probably heard of, have actually helped leverage £38 billion in developing countries. Another market failure, you could argue, is the processes by which, or the government processes that actually plan, screen, establish the agreements with the private sector and monitor their implementation. And that's something that the UK has been doing for some while through its support to IBM, and increasingly actually its work with the provincial and local governments, because they will have an important role in local infrastructure going forward. So supporting those institutions to make sure they do these things effectively, to make sure that the social and environmental safeguards are adequately adhered to, and that I think links to kind of community participation in decisions. And I think that is really important to then ensure that the pool gets the right deal when it negotiates with the private sector. Secondly, I think the international community can bring in the right skills. So within FCDO and what was DFID, a while ago we set up our infrastructure tribe. So we have expertise in the ministry that focus specifically on infrastructure and work in different countries on the planning and implementation support to government for infrastructure. And within FCGO, these colleagues are valued just as much as our economists, just as much as our health advisors, just as much as our education advisors. So they will come to Nepal, and I have a colleague sitting in the audience here, and share their experience of working on these issues in other places, bringing tried and tested models. And then I think thirdly, a really important agenda for development partners is providing the last mile infrastructure. So I think some infrastructure will never be commercially viable for the private sector. We know that. I mean, I know that from the UK. So our telecoms sector was commercialised, or privatised rather, fairly early. So you could go to places in the UK, quite a few places, and not get good mobile coverage. And that's because it never was economically viable for those private telcos to basically put the infrastructure down. So we're having to address that now. And I think Nepal is in a similar situation with your topography, where it would be very expensive to reach those very vulnerable and remote communities, to deliver roads, to deliver adequate schooling, healthcare, etc. And we spend a lot of our money supporting those types of infrastructure, social and community infrastructure, and we will continue to do that going forward, and working with the local governments to help them with that.